Well, it started probably when I was 11. In fact, I was at the junior school, and one day I was out with my dad, who used to actually sell radio phones, which were before mobile phones. And I went to a supplier with him in Manchester in Cheetham Hill. And this guy had a box full of radio watches. So you plugged in your earpiece, plugged in your phone, plugged in your watch, and you had a radio in your watch with an earpiece, and I'd never seen anything like this. Anyway, I said to my dad, "Dad, can I get some of these and sell them to my mates?" So I borrowed some money off my dad, bought some of these watches, went back to school, and I sold them all to my mates at school and made a handsome profit of £1 per watch, which back then was a lot of money to me. So anyway, that was the first time I realised, you know what, if you buy things and sell things, you can actually make money. So after that, I progressed into all kinds of things. I think the next big thing at school was rulers. Entrepreneur, yeah. Well, that's the lingo that everybody uses, isn't it now? Entrepreneur. Where I think for me, you know, I'd always had an eye for a deal. I'd always looked at things and thought, how can I make money out of that? And so I think the first time I probably did something that was entrepreneurial was, I was doing my A-levels at school, and well, I was meant to be doing my A-levels. I was doing my A-levels for PR because my mum and dad kept saying, you need to do your A-levels, you need to go to university. So I was being seen to do what they wanted me to do. And I remember seeing an advert in the back of the business section in the Sunday Times when I was 18, and I was in the point in school where I should have been revising to pass my A-levels, and it said container of gent cycles, and I thought, all right. So I rang this number, and it was actually a second-hand Rolls-Royce dealer in Doncaster, and he said to me, I've got a container load of bikes that I've took in Part X of a car. If you want to come and have a look, make me an offer. So we had a whip round, got some fuel in the van, and drove over to Doncaster, and I met this guy, and he literally had a container stuffed, jammed full of Eastern Bloc bicycles that had come from, I presume, Berlin or somewhere. And anyway, we did a deal, and I agreed to buy all these bikes for £15 each. But I said I can only buy as many as I can fit in the van each time. So anyway, filled the van, drove back down the M62 back to Rainford, and got there. My mate's like, what on earth are these? I said, these are gents' bicycles. Look at them. We can sell these. Anyway, so we went to them, put the seats on, fit everything, give them a clean up, and we started selling them for £80 each. And at that time, when I was doing my A-levels, I thought I'd arrived. I couldn't believe it, that I had £80 a bike, and I was buying them for £15, and I was literally selling them. Like, there was people queuing up to buy these bikes, these gent cycles, and that was the first time, I think, that I appreciated that actually I can make money. And it gave me a confidence that then, because then I realised that, you know what, it didn't matter how many hours you put in, it was how smart you worked within those hours. And I wasn't earning money, I was actually making money. And it made me appreciate that I have to look at things differently if I want to make money as opposed to earn money. So it was a great lesson. The first real business, which we've still got today, was the security business. There was an opportunity there to actually, you know, protect properties and individuals, and there was no real good businesses doing it at the time. And, you know, we came along as a professional business with people who were properly trained in health and safety, fire, ex-military, you know, guys who were actually really good and really proud of what they were doing. And so from there, we moved into schools, colleges, government contracts. It was a great place to be and a great time to be setting out then, because what also happened is as legislation came, a lot of people moved out of that business because they didn't want to be in it. Prince's Trust. So I was doing a business course at St Helens Business Link, I think it was called at the time. And I got introduced to a guy who said, look, you're looking for money to start a business. I know you've only just left school, but you should talk to the Prince's Trust. And I was like, yeah, cool, tell me all about it. Anyway, so he put me in front of another guy who was a mentor for the Prince's Trust, who'd had a small business. I think it was in St Helens. Anyway, really nice guy, really helpful. And he said, look, I know like you haven't got any money, but you've got to apply to the bank first to see if you can get a loan to start your business. So I was like, right, well, how do I do that? And he said, well, fill in these forms and then come back and see me. So I filled in these forms, and being dyslexic, it wasn't the best the best presentation you've ever seen. But he got the gist of it, and he said to me, I think you want to change this, you want to change that. He said, now you need to go to the bank in St Helens and ask, can you borrow X amount of pounds to start your business? And the chances are they're going to write back to you and say, no, because you've nothing to borrow against. I was like, all right, cool. So there I was, full of bravado, 18 years old, walked into Barclays. Oh yeah, can I see a business manager? And they're like, what exactly do you want to do? Anyway, I had to book an appointment and go back and present my ideas. And that idea at the time was still along the theme of bikes, because I didn't really know any better, to be honest, at that time. So I was in a position where I wanted to borrow money to open a bike shop. And I went back and I did this presentation, and the bank wrote to me and said, no, we can't lend you money, but if you put in X amount of thousands, we'll put in X. And I was like, well, that's great. Well, that won't work for me because I haven't got any money. So anyway, I then went to the Prince's Trust, and the Prince's Trust, I looked at this, and while I was doing the business plan at the Prince's Trust, other opportunities were sort of coming along. And so I then actually changed my business and my business plan and went to the Prince's Trust and borrowed money and changed everything I was doing just because I'd then had exposure to mentors. So it gave me a different perspective then. So it was great to be able to tap into that sort of pool of knowledge. So then when I then I'd paid back my Prince's Trust loan 2 or 3 years later, I went and then started mentoring for the Prince's Trust. So it was good because I was one of the youngest, if not the youngest mentor. And they used to send me business plans. I'd look at the business plans, and the ones that I thought were viable, I'd then go and meet those people to see if they really were, you know, going to make it work. And the ones that I thought, yeah, those people could work, they then went forward into a pot. And from that, people got grants, and some got offers for loans as well to start businesses. So it was really interesting. And what it made me appreciate was that I actually had a lot of knowledge and a lot of know-how that I could use for the greater good rather than just my own businesses. And it's only years later in business that you realise that by just helping people, it actually turns a profit as well. So you could go and help people, you could go and mentor people, and I got great satisfaction from it. But then when they started making money, I'm getting goose pimples. When they started making money, I got such a buzz out of it because they then had a business, they had people working for them, they had something scalable. And then it was like, right, this is working. How do we scale it? How do we make it bigger? Like where are we going? How far can this business go? And so I got a real buzz out of that, and I still do now. I still am in close contact with the Trust, and we make donations to the Trust as well, because it's, you know, for me, it's all about giving back as well. Like they set me off on a path which I'm honoured and privileged to be on. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have had that start, that kickstart to get going. I wouldn't have had the opportunity.